who pays for the banquet?
That is such a loaded question, isn't it?
It really is. It sounds like that awkward moment the chick drops at a big dinner party. Everyone suddenly gets really interested in their shoes.
Yeah, exactly. But what we're talking about today, it's not just avoiding a bill. It's the fundamental question that kind of breaks the spine of traditional economics.
It does, because usually economics is pretty straightforward. I have a thing, you want it, you pay me, I give you the thing, transaction over.
Simple. Everyone's happy. But today, we're diving into what happens when that simple loop just snaps.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We are tackling a really fascinating stack of notes today titled The Lighthouse Logic, Economics of Public Goods. And I'll be honest, when I first saw public goods, my mind went to, I don't know, moral philosophy, charity.
Right, something abstract.
But this is all about mechanics. It's about why things like lighthouses and roads and even national defense exist at all when, well, on paper, they're just terrible business ideas.
Oh, they're terrible. I mean, if you pitched a lighthouse to a VC in a purely free market, they would laugh you out of the room.
They'd say there's no business model.
None. Zero. And that's the tension we're going to explore. Our mission today is to really unpack this concept of market failure.
And let's be super clear for everyone listening. Market failure doesn't mean the stock market is crashing, right?
No, absolutely not. It's much more specific. And frankly, it's more interesting. It's a situation where the free market, if you just leave it to its own devices, fails to create something that everybody actually wants and needs.
So it's like a glitch in the system.
It's a coordination glitch. It's when the invisible hand just sort of stops working and drops the ball.
And to explain that glitch, the source material gives us a few characters. We've got Sean, we have Annie, and a very dark, rocky coastline. So let's start with the basics. What actually makes something a public good?
Right.
Because my first thought is, you know, a coffee shop is open to the public, so is coffee a public good.
And that is the trap. That's the trap everyone falls into. Just because you have access doesn't make something a public good in economic terms. For a product to get that label, it has to pass this really rigid two-part stress test. It needs two specific properties. Superpowers, you could call them.
Okay, lay them on me. What's the first superpower?
The first one is called non-excludability.
Non-excludability, meaning I can't exclude you.
Exactly. It means it's either technically impossible or just way too expensive to stop someone from using the good once it's out there. This is where our guy Sean comes in.
Okay.
So the notes describe Sean building a lighthouse. He builds the tower, he puts in the lens, and then he flips the switch.
Your light's on. It's beaming across the ocean, doing its job.
Now imagine a ship captain. Let's just call him Captain Jack, sailing past. Now, Jack hasn't paid Sean a single penny.
He didn't subscribe to Lighthouse Premium?
Nope. He has no contract.
Yeah.
But can Sean stop Captain Jack from seeing that light?
Not really. I mean, light is light. It just travels. Unless Sean builds, like, a giant shutter and tries to block it just when Jack's ship goes by.
Which would be impossible, right? You'd have to track every single ship, know their payment status in real time. It just defeats the physics of the product.
Right.
That's non-excludability. Once the good exists, the gate is just broken. Now compare that to your coffee shop.
Well, if I don't pay the barista, she just doesn't give me the coffee. It's pretty easy to exclude me.
Exactly. She excludes you. The transaction is gated. No pay, no get. But with the lighthouse, the benefit, that safety, the navigation, it's broadcast to everyone. There's no gatekeepers.
That makes perfect sense. You can't put a turnstile on a beam of light. Okay, so that's rule one. You can't physically stop the freeloaders. What's rule two?
The second property is non-rivalry.
Non-rivalry. Sounds like we're all friends.
It kind of does, yeah. But here, it's about consumption. The question is, does my use of the product hurt your ability to use it? Does me consuming it leave less for you?
Okay, let's go back to the examples. We have Annie.
We've got Annie. So let's say Annie is standing on the deck of her ship looking at Sean's lighthouse. When she sees that light, when her eyes absorb those photons, does the light get any dimmer for Sean?
No.
Does she use up the view?
No, it's not like a slice of pizza.
That is the perfect counterexample. A pizza is a rival good. If I eat that last slice of pepperoni, you literally cannot eat it. We are rivals for that slice.
Right. My consumption prevents your consumption.
Exactly. But with Lighthouse, or even say a radio signal, 1 million people can all consume it at the same time, and the product doesn't degrade one bit.
Right.
My listening doesn't make the audio quieter for you.
Okay, so a public good needs both. You can't stop people from using it non-excludable, and one person's use doesn't hurt anyone else's non-rivalrous.
You got it.
which, I mean, that sounds amazing. It sounds like a utopia, unlimited sharing, open access. So why is this a problem? Why do economists lose sleep over this?
Because you have to go back to that first question. Who pays for the banquet? That specific combination of open and unlimited creates this huge economic headache we call the free rider problem.
The free rider, the source notes also call this the problem of the hare, the stowaway.
A stowaway is the perfect way to think about it, because here's the logic trap. Let's shift from the lighthouse to another example in the text. A road.
Okay, the road scenario.
So Sean, our go-getter, decides his village needs a new road. He clears the land, he paves it. It's his road, technically. And he wants to recoup his costs, so he puts a little collection jar at the start with the sign, "Cost, $10,000. Please chip in."
And here comes Annie in her car.
Here comes Annie.
Yeah.
And we have to get inside her head here. And this is key of that. Annie is not a bad person.
She's not a villain.
No, she's just being a rational economic actor.
Mm.
So she looks at the road. Is there a gate?
No, it's non-excludable.
Will her driving on it ruin it for others?
Not at the moment, no. It's non-rivalrous.
So she does the math in her head. Option A, she puts $100 in the jar. She gets to use the road, but she's $100 poorer. Option B, she just drives past the jar.
And she gets the road and keeps her $100.
When you put it like that, option B is the winning move for her individually.
It's the smart play, economically speaking.
Absolutely. Why buy the cow if the milk is free, you know? So she drives on. She's the free rider. She gets the benefit, doesn't pay the cost.
But the problem, of course, is that everyone thinks like Annie.
Oh, correct. Every single person driving up to that road is making that exact same calculation. You see, Annie didn't pay, and you think, well, I'm not going to be the only sucker who pays for everyone else. So you keep your money, too.
It's a contagion of rationality. Everyone acts in their own self-interest, and the result is just an empty jar.
And the market failure. Because Sean sees that empty jar, realizes he's lost a fortune, and he never, ever builds another road. The whole system breaks down.
The text had a great line about this. It said, "If everyone waits for someone else to pay, the road is never built." It's just a complete stalemate.
It's a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
Individually, we are all smart to keep our money. But collectively, we're fools because we end up with no roads, no lighthouses, no banquet.
Let's bring it back to the lighthouse, because the notes call that the classic symbol of this dilemma, and the stakes there are a bit higher than a few potholes.
Oh, much higher.
Yeah.
This is life or death. If that lighthouse goes dark, ships crash, people drown, millions of dollars of cargo just sinks to the bottom of the sea.
So the demand is absolutely there. The value is obvious.
The value is astronomical. The economic benefit of a safe harbor is worth billions, but the payment mechanism is broken. Captain Sean knows if he builds it, Captain Annie will use it for free. So Sean doesn't build it.
It's just wild to think about. You have a product that saves lives and generates wealth, but the free market won't touch it because it can't capture the value.
That is the key phrase, capture the value. A normal business has to capture value to survive. Public goods. They just leak value everywhere. They're like buckets with holes in them. The water gets to everyone, but you can't carry it to the bank.
So, history check. We obviously have lighthouses. We have roads. How did we solve this? We clearly didn't just wait for altruism to kick in.
We solved it by changing who pays. We brought in a third party that plays by a completely different set of rules.
And that would be?
The state. The government.
It's a government.
Right. Now, people have a lot of feelings about government spending, but these notes really just strip it down to the mechanics. The state comes in and acts as a coordination machine.
A coordination machine? How so?
The state basically says, okay, everyone, you all want this lighthouse. None of you will pay for it voluntarily because you're all afraid of being the sucker. So here's the deal. I am going to forcibly collect a tiny amount of money from every single one of you.
You mean taxes?
Taxes. And with that big pool of money, I will build the lighthouse. You'll all complain about paying, but you will all get to enjoy the light.
So in this framework, taxes aren't a penalty. They're actually the solution to the free rider problem.
Exactly. It's a workaround. It just eliminates that option B we talked about with Annie. You can't choose to keep your money and use the road anyway. The money is taken so the road can exist for everyone.
It's like a mandatory subscription service to civilization. You can't opt out, because if we let people opt out, the whole service shuts down.
That is a perfect way to put it. The private sector's math just doesn't work, so the public sector has to step in to fill that void. It takes on the jobs that are profitable for society, but unprofitable for any single individual.
Okay, I want to pivot now to a part of the notes that I found really nuanced. We tend to think of these labels, Public good, private good as permanent. You know, a cheeseburger is always private, a road is always public.
Right.
But the source material throws a wrench in that. It asks, are roads always public goods?
And this is where we separate the rookies from the pros in economics. Because the answer is a hard no. A road is only a public good under certain conditions.
And the notes mention a very specific time, 5 p.m. on a Friday.
A witching hour.
Right.
Let's go back to our two criteria. Is it still non-excludable?
Yeah, pretty much. It's still hard to physically stop cars from getting on the highway. But what about non-rivalrous?
Well, at 3 a.m., the road is empty. Me driving on it doesn't affect you at all. Plenty of space.
Correct. At 3 a.m., the road is a pure public good. But at 5 p.m.
It's bumper to bumper. Gridlock.
And what is a traffic jam? When you think about it economically, it's space becoming scarce. If my car is taking up this 10 feet of asphalt, your car cannot be in that same spot.
So my use is now reducing your ability to use it.
We have become rivals. We're competing for that space just like we'd compete for the pizza slice. The non-rivalry condition has just evaporated into thin air.
That's fascinating. So the very nature of the good changes just because it got too popular? Yes. It transforms. When a public good gets overused, it starts suffering from what's called congestion. It starts to behave like a private good. And this is why the notes point out that we see things like toll roads or those express lanes popping up in busy cities.
The toll road, I hate paying them, but I suddenly understand the logic.
The toll is a tool. It's a way to reintroduce excludability. You put a price on it, and you scare away some drivers, the ones who don't value that specific trip that highly. You reduce the number of users, which reduces the rivalry
And clears the congestion.
and restores the flow. So when the public good breaks under its own success, we have to turn it back into a sort of private good with a price tag just to make it functional again.
It's a constant balancing act then.
It really is. It's not about making money, necessarily. It's about managing access, so the whole system doesn't just collapse on itself.
Which brings us to the conclusion from the source material, what they call Sean's verdict.
Ah, yes, Sean's verdict. This is about mindset.
I think a lot of us, myself included, we look at taxes as just money leaving our account. It feels like a loss.
It feels like theft sometimes, yeah. But Sean's verdict is a suggestion to shift that perspective. Instead of seeing taxes as money being taken away, we should see them as a purchasing method.
A purchasing method for what, though? I don't get a receipt.
You're purchasing the things that are way too big for your Amazon cart. You can't go online and buy national defense.
No,
You can't buy a literate population or a highway system all by yourself.
I definitely don't have the credit limit for that.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
And even if you did, remember the free rider problem. You wouldn't buy it if your neighbors were just going to use it for free. So the tax system is just a mechanism that lets us all pool our resources to buy the banquet that no single one of us could afford to host.
It solves that psychological paralysis.
Exactly. Without it, we would all just be standing on the shore, staring at dark rocks, hoping someone else builds the light. And the dark reality is, no one ever would.
That's a powerful way to reframe it. It kind of takes the emotion out of it and just looks at the pure mechanics. We have collective needs that the market can't solve, so we invented a patcho workaround called the public sector.
Precisely. And it helps to remember that when you're driving on a clear road or enjoying a public park, you're not just looking at asphalt. You're looking at the solution to a really complex economic puzzle. You're looking at cooperation, codified into law.
So to pull this all together, we started with the lighthouse. It's the ultimate public good.
Non-excludable and non-rivalrous.
Yep. But that creates the free rider trap. Annie waits for Sean, Sean waits for Annie.
And the result is darkness, market failure.
So the state has to step in as the collection agent. We all chip in, maybe reluctantly, but the light gets built.
But, and this is the huge takeaway for me, we have to watch the capacity. Because if that road gets too popular, like that 5 p.m. traffic jam, it stops being a public good.
It becomes a battleground, which explains why we sometimes have to bring the market back in with tolls and fees just to manage the crowd.
It's the journey from the lighthouse to the traffic jam.
You know, once you see it this way, you start spotting the lighthouses everywhere.
And you also start spotting the free riders everywhere, too.
Oh, absolutely. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I do want to leave everyone with one final thought to mull over. It goes back to that road paradox.
The congestion problem.
Exactly. We learned that a public good, like a road, basically breaks under its own success. So here's the question. If free access inevitably leads to overuse and congestion, is a truly public good ever sustainable in the long run without some kind of gatekeeper?
That is the hard question, isn't it? Does that freedom of access eventually destroy the quality of the very thing being accessed? We see it with roads, with national parks. If everyone comes to the party, does the party get ruined for everyone?
Something to think about the next time you're stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic, staring at a public road sign and wondering why on earth you aren't moving.
Indeed. Sometimes the price we pay for free is just sitting still.
That's all for today's deep dive. Thanks for helping us unpack this.
My pleasure. It was fun.
Keep your eyes on the road, everyone. We'll see you next time.